What's up, everybody?
Yes. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whenever you're listening, wherever you're listening.
Yeah. Even if I couldn't help but think about, have you ever seen Good Morning Vietnam?
I have not.
Well, I just thought of that. We might have some Vietnamese listeners. I wanted to be like, Good Morning Vietnam, when he's over there, Robin Williams.
Yeah, R.I.P.
Yeah, man. Classic. That was a good actor there, man. Robin Williams.
He was hilarious.
He was. Mrs. Doubtfire, that'll always be a good one.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Robin Williams movie?
Oh, man.
The Birdcage?
And this is classic me. I'm not the movie guy.
I figured that's where he's gay.
Mrs. Doubtfire was pretty awesome. Was it Hook? Was that the Peter Pan?
Yeah, that's a good
Hook
one.
was a good one. I know I watched that one.
Flubber?
Several times. Man, I don't think I ever saw that one. That one was just pretty goofy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What
I've shown my
some of his
kids
other big ones?
Well, he was in, the terrible, terrible film that I said is one of the worst movies ever made. It's the one that made Ben Affleck and Matt Damon famous. Good Will Hunting. Did you ever see that?
I did, but I don't remember him being in it.
It's
been a long time.
He's the therapist or whatever, or janitor, or I don't remember.
It's been a long time. I watched that movie when it first came out.
Well, it's the worst movie ever made, so it's terrible.
Yeah.
But Patch Adams.
Yeah.
Man, I can't believe he was in a bunch of movies.
Drawing that big of a blank.
Yeah, I'm such an iconic actor. But
yeah, if I just had the gun to my head right here in the moment, Mrs. Doubtfire would be the obvious one, but I might say Hook just to be just a little different.
Yeah.
And I did watch that one multiple times. So
Hook is good. I've watched it. We've shown the kids that one. A weird one I bet you never watched with him. Did you ever watch 1 Hour Photo?
No.
That one, it was weird. He's actually he's kind of like I don't know, he's a stalker, it's a horror movie.
Well.
And there is I always think of this one scene in that movie. He has white hair, he looks like a creepy guy. He works at a 1 Hour Photo. This was back when you used to take your stuff and get it developed.
For all you youngsters out there listening.
Yeah.
You used to take a picture and you had no idea
what
it looked like.
Yes, that's true.
Or if it was worth a damn.
Yeah.
Until, hell, I remember the days when you used to take it to Fred's, put it in an envelope, and they mailed it off, and you got it back a week later.
Well, that's kind of how...
That was how long it took you to get the photo.
Yeah, that's kind of how this is, but you were supposed to be able to drop them off, and then an hour later you pick them up. And he's this creepy weirdo, and he has all these pictures. He's got a bunch of pictures of naked women, where they had, I guess, took pictures with their spouse. And so he's a creeper, but he's a freaking messed up guy. But he has a nightmare. It's such a weird scene. He's standing in the aisles of this place, and he's obviously dreaming, but you don't realize this at first. He's standing there, and it's a close-up of his face, and his eyes start turning red, and he screams. He's Wah! And he puts his hands up, and blood sprays out around his fingers. It was a disturbing, weird scene.
Yeah, that is weird. Well, which we could get way down a rabbit hole here, but with deer trail cameras.
Oh yeah,
I remember used to, because they were all 35 millimeter film, and of course, as a young 12, 13, 14-year-old kid, however I was, I wouldn't have been. I was probably 14, 15, 16 in there when we were really getting into that. And you had the film, and so we would drive, because of course we don't have a Walmart here in our little town. We would drive to the next town, usually Millington, to get the 1 Hour Photo so we could get the photos back as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And then it was just game changing when they were digital.
Oh yeah. And now it's freaking cell camera.
And so I would go out there to my camera with my phone, put the card, in the little. That
was always fun.
And now it's literally while we're sitting here recording, I might get a picture.
Yeah.
It's taken all the suspense out of getting the photos off your trail camera.
Yep. It's good and bad, because I know if I'm not getting alerts, I'm not getting any pictures.
Yeah, and I say that I will not get a picture while we're sitting here, because I think I have one camera out and something's up with it, because I'm getting one picture every 3 weeks.
See, I got
I know good and well where I've got it, that it's
more there.
Yeah. Even if it's just taking pictures of random crap, it ought to be doing more than that. But
Well, we got a lot to talk about tonight.
Yes.
First, we got to give shout out.
Yep. Agzaga.com. You know, to check them out. Gosh, yeah, every week we try to highlight something different they've got, but
you just got to check it out. They got a bunch of stuff on there.
Yeah.
And you got to use the code.
Yeah.
Talk Dirt.
Talk Dirt, all caps, all one word. 10% off at checkout. Super fast shipping. There was something. I cut a bunch of hay yesterday. It was something I thought of. I was like, it was a tool. I was like, man, I need to check with them. I was like, I bet they'll have it. My toolbox. I've got on the back of the truck, working out great.
You say it's a Montezuma?
Is
it the angle box?
Yeah, it's just like a box. The angle box.
I wonder if it's a Montezuma.
I don't think that is the name brand on it, but it's kind of one of those deals where, they're so similar.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're all made.
See, mine's not a Montezuma.
By the same place, and just, I really don't know what brand it is, but I got it from Agzaga. Super fast and reasonable shipping. And yes, I did not pay full price. I got my 10% off.
Yep. Talk Dirt, all caps, use it. So we got a lot of stuff to cover tonight.
Yes.
You got a headline you said you wanted to talk about.
Man, and sometimes the content just falls into your lap.
Man, I'm excited. You have really been hyping this up to me.
I was on, I guess we have to call it X now.
Oh, yeah.
X.
That sounds weird.
Earlier, just like an hour before I came over here, and I saw somebody had shared this, but, I'll just read the headline. Wyoming ranchers accused of bleaching penis shapes onto neighbors' cows.
That's good.
I was like, that was an excellent writing of the headline or whatever by the editor there.
Yeah.
There's no chance I'm not clicking on that.
Oh yeah, no, that's great. So did you? So
even though typically a headline with penis in the name might be dangerous to click on, you might be getting some sort of virus, but no. So basically, and I'll kind of, give you the high points. There was these two ranchers in Wyoming, which that's where I was last week.
Yep.
I did not see any bleached cows, but one neighbor's cows kept getting out, getting on the other neighbor's property, grazing his pasture, whatever. And apparently that neighbor was like real nonchalant, wouldn't get in a hurry to get them back or whatever. And they said it was years coming on. So the rancher and his son, which his son was like in his 30s, he's in his 60s.
Yeah.
They say, all right, we're going to get back at him, which I thought this was great.
Yeah, that sounds hilarious.
But they gather them all up, run them through the chute, and just bleach them. Just bleach their hair. And they did all kinds of stuff. They were like drawing penises on them like they're a bunch of teenagers.
Did they get in trouble?
So they're facing felony charges because of course they had an expert witness or whatever. A guy came out and assessed them, and this guy sells a bunch of heifers, and he estimated that they were worth $500 or $600 less per head should they try to sell them because the hair is dyed, which
really
I guess it's permanent, and I really don't even know. I've never bleached any of my cow's hair, but he said they would have been worth about $2,600 per head, but now they're worth about $1,850.
Wow.
Because buyers might think that bleaching was used to mark them because there was something wrong with them or something. So I'm like, well, now it's a big enough story. You might even have created a market for them where people are going to be like,
I want one of those bleached penis cows.
Yeah. Just as a talking point. But I thought it was, I kind of see both sides.
They're technically vandalizing private property.
But it was,
on their
side of the story was they were repeatedly getting out, and the guy wasn't doing anything to permanently fix the problem. But just what a great headline.
That is hilarious.
Yeah,
I'd like to have those guys on the podcast.
Yeah, they just a neat story. It's from Cowboy State Daily. So
do you go there often? I've never heard of that.
No, like I say, it was shared on X or Twitter. So
that's right.
I'm sure if you just type in your search engine, Wyoming cattle penis is probably.
I was going to say, I feel like it's some dangerous searching you got to do there.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Wyoming ranchers bleaching, and maybe
be careful which link you click on if you do search those terms.
Yeah, you might find some weird stuff on there.
But a pretty. I thought that was hilarious. It was well worth. Well, of of course, all the articles now, it tells you it's a 6-minute read. It is well worth 6 minutes of your time. But
that is hilarious. Well,
yeah, I wasn't even looking for content for tonight. I just happened to be, I was waiting on my wife and daughter to get home from softball practice and was scrolling for a second. I was like, oh my goodness.
That is good. That is good. Well, that's a good segue, actually, talking about the cows getting out. You seen all the crap about the cows out here that have been out for like 2 days? Somebody hit one last night.
Well, I heard that, and actually one of my employees at the office texted me this morning about 5:45 because it was a Facebook post in the intersection that they gave.
It was on campground.
Yeah, I was like, oh, holy crap. And I was actually on the way to my other farm, but freaking daylight is so short these days. I do a lot of my herd check on one farm some days before daylight, and so I could not account for every one of them, but all my cows. And then she even pointed out they said it had an orange ear tag, and I was like, son of a bitch.
Do you got orange ear tags in yours?
Yes, all my, obviously I'm a Tennessee guy through and through.
I figured you'd had like a green one or a crimson.
Yeah. Now I do, some of my mama cows have different tags because they're cows that I bought and whatnot. And if they already have a tag, I don't cut it out.
Yeah.
If I have to replace it because they lose one, I go with the orange. But all my calves on the farm up the road where we got all the yearlings and my bred heifers, I had to think for a second. I'm pretty sure all those there have my custom ear tags that actually say Hurricane Creek Farms. And so I was like, well, surely.
Yeah.
If somebody, they wouldn't have done anything but just search who that was, or somebody would have known. But
yeah.
So it's been a bunch of them been getting out.
Yeah, like like I said, apparently, because I had somebody text me last night, and they were like, I'm sure you already saw this. And they sent me a screenshot of the post, and I saw where like a cow had been hit by a car, and people were all in the post.
Oh yeah. Well, that's when I got to work and I got to talking to her, because I'm not really on Facebook. She was going through it.
Yeah.
She was like, "Oh yeah, somebody tagged your cousin." I was like, I'm surprised he didn't reach out to me. He must have known.
Yeah, I mean, I just assumed it was not yours. Like I was
did
like,
they find out whose they were?
I don't know. I don't know if they did yet or not.
Well, I narrowed it down to. I was pretty
I know
sure
it wasn't. From what I've heard, it wasn't the guy that I speculated it was, because his are always getting out.
Okay, I won't ask you on air.
You've had cattle run-ins with the guy. You lost a bull with some of his cattle.
Okay, well, yeah.
I don't think from my understanding, it was not his, and I was assuming it was his.
Oh no, I wouldn't have assumed it was his.
But there is a guy that has some right down there that has a smaller herd.
Yeah, we'll have to talk off air because, like I say, we don't want to throw anybody's name out there.
Yeah.
The one guy that used to have cows in my neighbor's place, he doesn't have any around there anymore. So,
okay.
But you're right, his cows did get out all the time.
They did.
So just from that perspective,
but no, I was like, whenever they pointed out the location, I was like, they're not ours, they're not Bobby Lee's.
Well, there were 2 or 3 groups of cows. I can actually think of 3 people that have cows closer to that exact location I was given than I do, but neither group of my cows would have had to go more than about 2 miles as the crow flies to be there. So I'm like, they can go 2 miles in just a few minutes if they're really getting it.
Well, it had me nervous at first, and this was before I saw the orange ear tag thing on there, because the night before, man, I got in. You gotta love it. I got in from harvesting, and it was like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock or something. I haven't even eaten dinner yet. I went in, I was like getting my dinner, and I said, all right, I got to run out here and feed the cows. So I went out here, and I got my 3 cows over here. I got my bigger cow and then the 2 bottle calves that I had. Well, I go in there, and they always come running up because I feed them every day. And I go in there and I dump their feed out. Well, the big cow comes, and then my other female, she comes up. The little one, and my little bull we call Dipstick, he didn't show up, and I was like, he don't ever not show up. And now the female, I call her Brown Turd because she's dumb. I've had to cut her head out of the fence. She got her head stuck one day. She didn't show up, and I had to take bolt cutters because I found her head was stuck in the fence. So I had to cut her head out. She was there, and I'm like, where the heck is Dipstick? So I got the little bucket, and I'm shaking it around, and way off in the distance, I hear murr, I can hear him. He's way off. I'm like, what the crap? And all I've got is a little headlamp on because I wasn't expecting to be searching for a cow. And I walk around in there, and I see the light. I see two eyes shine, like way down here, and the little dummy is on the other side of the fence, barbed wire fence. And like I'm walking around, and I mean the fence is old over there, but like I've patched it a few times, and like it's not just any obvious hole. And so I got,
of course, he can't figure out how to get back in.
No, and that's what I get the bucket, and I'm like shaking the bucket. I'm like, come on. And he comes walking over there, and he like looks, and he tries to go through the fence, and he can't get through there. So, and I cross the fence. I'm like, I'm gonna have to like push him. I cross the fence. Well, then he just takes off running. He actually kicks his back legs up in there, and he's like jumping and running. I'm like, you idiot. And so I walk back over into the pasture, and he takes off running like towards the road. I'm like, oh gosh, what is this idiot doing? And so I go walking up there, and then all of a sudden I just see the eyes shining in the pasture running over there, and he's mooing, running to him. So I walk up there. I mean, it was like one strand of barbed wire that was broke, and he had like forced his way through there.
Yeah.
So
small calves can do that.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, but I was like, this is what I want to be doing. I was tired. Like I had just got in from harvest.
Oh no, well, they don't get out and or anything like that when it's convenient.
No, they don't. They do not. Now we got a real smart person we got to talk about tonight.
Yeah, we do.
First, do you follow Britney Spears on Instagram?
No, I've seen. Just because other people sharing stuff, apparently she's really lost her mind.
Dude,
I didn't even watch the video, but it was like something about her doing those weird dancing, and she had like some knives or something.
She has like two butcher knives, which she claims they're like prop knives.
They're like plastic. I did not even. I know people were commenting. They're like, maybe her dad should still have
the conservatorship or whatever.
I didn't even care enough to click on it, which. It's saying something because I mean she's basically my age. She's like a year or two older than me. Like 16-year-old Bobby Lee was a big Britney Spears fan.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't even know any of her songs. I just
like the way she looked.
Yeah.
And the bad thing is she actually still looks pretty similar.
Oh yeah,
but now she's crazy.
But at the same time though, like a lot of those, I'm like, I mean, there ain't nothing wrong with her looks wise, but like again, 20 years ago, you were like. Wow, like she is smoking, and now you're like, if I just saw her like at the ball field tonight, we were playing t-ball. I'd be like, oh, it's a good-looking mom there.
Yeah,
you wouldn't. Her look, she'd just be.
It wouldn't blow your socks off.
She'd be one of the hotter moms. She wouldn't be anything that you would think was like, oh wow,
it ain't Salma Hayek.
No, she's nothing super special.
Yeah,
it's man, and it's kind of sad, from where I mean, she was one of the most famous people on the planet. Yeah. Even 15 years ago.
Well, it's kind of crazy for me to think about because obviously our homeboy here, Justin Timberlake, was dating her for a long time.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, he's got him a pretty dang good looking woman, in my opinion.
Oh, well, yeah, it's one of those things looking back, I know
he's probably like, boy, I dodged that bullet.
Well, I wasn't into like the whole People magazine and all that. I don't like who broke up with who, but assuming if she like broke his heart, he's probably looking back on it now like, woo, dodged a hell of a bullet on that one.
Yeah. I mean, I doubt he's going home because he's married to Jessica.
Oh, I know. Biel, yeah.
Biel.
Yeah,
I was going to say Alba. But
everybody gets those mixed up. But.
Jessica Biel. And yeah, she's good looking.
Oh,
but
yeah, no.
He ain't coming home to her dancing with knives in the kitchen, most likely.
I mean, even if he was, like, I still think
she could pull it off.
Well, the last 15, 20 years have been better to her than they have
That's
to Britney.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. Well, in talking about that, I want to talk about another crazy person, and that is Bryce Mitchell, Thug Nasty, that moron in the UFC.
Yeah, and a lot of people out there may not know who he is. UFC fighter, MMA guy. And I'm not much of a UFC guy. Like, I have a, very loose connection to a fighter or two, just where I know people that know them kind of thing. And so I kind of follow them. But I followed him for a while because,
early on, he was kind of like our guy. He's a country boy.
Country boy, pretty local to us from Arkansas.
Yeah.
A self-proclaimed farmer. I mean, he does have a farm. I shouldn't even say self-proclaimed. Conservative, God-fearing man.
Yeah.
Hates the government. Like, checks a lot of the boxes that I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
But
and he's a flat earther just like you.
Just like me. Gravity is a hoax.
Yeah. Yeah. That
no, and that right there is your clue that okay, what's this guy's deal? But I guess before we get into it, he basically he had joined another podcast, or he was a guest on a podcast.
Yeah.
It was basically
Believe You Me.
Believe You Me, and it's MMA guys. Like it's kind of that community, right? Am I correct on that?
Yes, it's Michael Bisping and Anthony Smith. I'm gonna try to pull up some of this because it happens really early on. So
and if you're interested in listening to it, I only made it about 15 minutes into the podcast because it's just. And at first, I was trying to write down notes of all the stupid stuff he said, and real quickly,
a couple pages later, you were like, "All right."
Real quickly, I realized, like, okay, this is. And as soon as they got off the ag topic, I kind of had to just cut it off.
See, I gave it about 30. I made it almost 40 minutes in, and they started talking his fight, and so I was like, "All right, that's enough."
Which I'll give him credit. He won this past weekend.
He did. Did you see what he did?
And again, I love a lot of what he does. Had a Bible with him, was really, he's really, promoting, his Christian faith, and hey, that's all fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm fully on board with that.
But it went real awkward. Like, got real awkward, which Michael Bisping, that was Bisping that was interviewing him.
In the ring?
In the ring.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize. See, I'm I'm a super casual MMA guy.
Well, that was Bisping, and I thought Bryce can be kind of weird on this stuff. Like, I was saying, like, it is cool that he's sharing his faith. But, like, I did think, I was like, I don't know why Michael won't let him pray. Because he wanted to pray in the ring, like in the octagon. And he wanted Dan Ige to pray with him. And like,
was that his opponent he just beaten?
Yeah. And he was trying to get him to pray, but it was awkward because he was like trying to pull Dan down to take a knee, and Dan's like, like not taking a knee. And then Michael, Bryce is like, all right, we're going to pray on TV. And Michael is like, all right. And he just turns around and walks off with the microphone. So like, it was an awkward interaction.
And we haven't even gotten into some of the crazy stuff he said attacking ag, but I feel like some of it is he's just trying to create a scene.
I can't tell if he's legit or what.
But anyway, let's go into kind of some of the crazy stuff he says.
Let me see here. Let me pull some.
You gonna play some of the clips?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We'll hear it straight from his mouth.
Let me find this. All right. This is.
But really, it's just me and my wife right now. And
That's Bryce.
We're doing it all, brother. And I'm by no means a professional, and I've by no means maximized my production. I'm not even close, but I got 19 head of cattle, and we had a really, really good group of newborns, group of calves born this year. So had like 6 or 7 calves born this year. So it's been really good. And my next thing we're going to get into after this fight, I'm getting a milk cow. It's illegal to sell raw milk. It's so piss poor. We can't even have actual food in this country anymore legally. So me and my wife are getting a milk cow. We're going to have raw milk. We're going to barter with the neighbors.
All right, so right there, we'll jump in on one thing. So
which I kind of agree with him on some of that. Like,
I think it ought to be legal.
Well, yeah, if I want to sell raw milk to my neighbor and they want to buy raw milk from me, and I make it, don't mislead them and say, this is something that's not, it hasn't been USDA inspected, it's not pasteurized, it's raw milk, and they want to buy it.
They ought to be able to buy it.
And they're two consenting adults making an agreement like that. I'm all fine with it.
That's what I was going to say. I'm right there with them, Mike.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing, and where I kind of get irritated at what he's going to say later, is that we probably agree on 80% of things.
Yeah. I'm trying to limit. Like I was thinking, because I want to play some more of it, but he does drop quite a few F-bombs.
Yeah.
And we drop some words on here, but we're trying to keep it somewhat clean.
Yeah, we're not.
Your children might be riding with you in the car, but I can remember a lot of what he says. But basically, he does go forward and say that, All right, so he wants
Well,
raw.
he goes right from that to saying, obviously, raw milk should be legal if you want it. Don't disagree with him. Then he says pasteurized milk should be
illegal.
Illegal.
Which is just crazy.
Like, yeah, I mean, that's definitely a bridge too far for me there.
Well, it's funny to me. He's like, hates the government. And he's like, they shouldn't be making raw milk illegal. They should be making pasteurized milk illegal.
Which, I mean, again, I don't care what kind of milk people drink.
I don't either.
Make your decision, drink your milk, do whatever. I do support you drinking milk, though, because our dairy farming friends, need your business.
And I will say this, nut milk is not real milk.
Nut juice.
Nut juice, that is not real milk.
Yeah, we won't even call it almond. It's almond juice or nut juice. It ain't milk. But yeah, it's, of course, he grabs the low-hanging fruit like everybody does and goes all in on pretty much every chemical known to man.
Yeah.
But
Gramaxin. I don't remember what he calls it. But
he talk and he admits, he's like, I don't even know if I'm saying that right.
Yeah.
But he does. But he's talking about Gramaxin, and he claims, he's like, it's so toxic, which it is toxic. That's what we always joke about. Like, everybody's targets Roundup. Roundup ain't nearly the nastiest thing that we have. In most of our sheds or on our chemical trucks or whatever. He's like, it's so toxic. If I was driving on the road and had a jug of it, I would go to prison. I'm like, no, you wouldn't, bro.
You wouldn't. I mean, one, cops probably wouldn't know what it is. And two, I mean, it's a herbicide like the rest. Now, to purchase it, you got to have a license. Like,
you have to.
You got to have a private applicator license.
Yeah.
Like, and that's not. He made the remark. He was like, if I don't have a license, and I'm like, okay, if you want to make that point, then like, there's guys that have a license for dynamite that use it. You can get a license for dynamite. You can use it on beaver dams. I mean, there's all kinds of applications, and so I'm like, okay, the same could be said for a guy that has dynamite license if somebody else is driving with the dynamite.
And like, no, you do not have to worry now. If like you're doing crazy stuff, which I don't know, after listening to him talk, like
he might
would do it and draw attention to yourself, get yourself arrested, and then they find out you've got chemicals you're not supposed to have. I don't know exactly how the law reads on that.
He sounds like a guy that's probably drinking it or something.
Kind of throw the book at you. He hadn't drank it, because I have seen animals, unfortunately, that have ingested it accidentally, and yes, it is toxic, like lethally toxic. Not just make you sick, toxic. But he goes on there. He even attacks nitrogen. Nitrogen fertilizer is poisoning us. And I'd have to go back and look at the statistics, because we talked about nitrogen in pretty good detail one episode where the use of nitrogen fertilizers is directly linked to the population growth of the earth. Like, had we not, and I say we, I can't even remember the name of the fellow who actually figured out the way to take atmospheric nitrogen, because most of you probably are aware from sixth grade science class that nitrogen is the most prevalent atmospheric gas, and putting that in a form that plants can then utilize, specifically like grass crops that can't fix the nitrogen from the atmosphere themselves. Some of the most important crops to sustenance on the planet: rice, corn, wheat. But I forget, I think he said it, this nitrogen fertilizer is poisoning everyone.
Yes.
I'm like, dude, like, we're all about the all natural. I mean, heck, it wasn't an episode ago we lamented the fact that they're not allowing them to use chicken litter.
Yes,
just up the road from us in Jackson, Tennessee.
He what gets me too is, and we've talked about him before on here. I will say that Bryce has made the show previously, and one of those things was talking about manure, and it's a video he put out where he's scooping cattle manure, and again he attacks row crop farmers, and he says they need to be using this instead of that synthetic fertilizers. And it's like, he's scooping cattle manure, and I'm like, dude, every farmer would love to use it. We actually talked to Aaron Winger.
And anywhere it is readily available in quantities to be used, it is pretty much used, because the manure is valuable. Like, but
they still, like Winger was telling us, they still have to supplement with extra fertilizers.
Right. We did make that point, because he is in a part of the country where they have hogs, dairies, big beef cattle feedlots, and chicken houses. All, environments where animals are raised in confinement, so the manure is collected and then it's spread out on whatever cropland, pasture, wherever they need the fertilizer, which then brings up another point for us to have, because somebody like him would be, I'm sure, is anti animal confinement agriculture.
Oh, yeah.
Everything should be pastured, which cattle, for the most part, spend almost their entire lives on pasture. At the very end, they go to a feedlot oftentimes, but whatever. So for us to have that manure in a concentrated area where we can collect it and spread it, it has to be animals in a confinement operation.
Yeah.
But yeah, and actually, which I've followed him on social media for a while, and I always assumed, because like you can't even read his post a lot of times.
Yeah.
It's one of those where you're like,
look like a third grader wrote this.
Yeah, like I need somebody to translate this, the spelling, the grammar, the punctuation, everything. And that's where I get like it. I think it's a lot of it's an act, because he's actually an educated man.
That's what you said. He's got a degree.
He has a college degree, I believe, in economics. And that's where I'm like, okay.
But how are his economics so wrong, man?
Right. That was my next point. He was making the claim. Of course, he goes all in on monocropping agriculture. It's terrible. It's whatever. And hey, we admit here that there are faults in that process.
Well, I like it when I had someone on Instagram kind of like attack the monocropping thing, maybe on our Bryce video, or it might have been, I think it was, and they were kind of attacking me at it, I guess. And I was like, I have cover crops on everything. I was like, if you go to like any of my farms, there's pretty much always something growing on them.
Yeah.
So like, I'm like, you're attacking one of the worst people to be attacking.
Well, and that goes back to the fact of we, and I say we, generally farmers, ranchers, and the whole, are constantly looking for ways to adapt, improve what we do things that are better for the environment. But yeah, at the economics point, he said if we just stopped you got rid of all the chemicals, so got rid of all the monocropping, got rid of all the row crops, basically, other than just, you're growing what corn you want to eat yourself or whatever, and returned all that cropland.
Oh, and you got rid of all GMO, too.
All
GMO.
that. You get rid of all that.
Yep.
But the way everybody's not going to starve to death is we're going to return all that ground to natural grasslands, pasture. We can pasture raise all these animals. Cattle, which are already raised in that manner, but they're never going to go to the feedlot and be finished on a corn or a grain diet. I guess all your chickens are then going to be raised outdoors, which that just like I had to actually look it up. You know how many chickens we slaughter in the U.S. every year?
Oh gosh, how many? It's got to be a million.
No. Between 9 and 10 billion.
Whoa, man.
Which I got to doing the math, and that's like 28 chickens for every American. I was like, that's probably about right.
For a year?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm probably eating more than that.
Well, and I'm like an anti-chicken guy. I just
I knew you were, but yeah.
And I figure I probably eat that. I ate chicken wings tonight.
Yeah.
But we ate leftovers tonight because we had ball games. But
and a hamburger steak.
I had meatballs and chicken tenders. It's like that's probably about right. That'd be a half a chicken a week roughly.
Yeah.
But could you imagine raising chickens like out on like? I can't imagine security you would have to have, because literally everything
foxes.
Bigger than a squirrel is trying to eat a chicken.
Yeah.
It'd be, hogs are raised almost entirely in confinement.
Even dogs will absolutely ransack chickens.
Yes. Hogs, everything. But, like hogs. And I know some people do pasture raised pork.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Some of these smaller boutique, farms and meat companies, that's great. Like, I think that's fantastic. Now you try to do that on a scale to feed the entire country.
Yeah.
Because there are advantages to them being in confinement. Otherwise, large-scale hog operations wouldn't have gone to that.
Look, at the end of the day, we exist. Human beings exist, and there's a lot of us, and we got to eat to stay alive.
But the man has an economics degree, and he said the cost of food will actually get lower.
All right, I got a response that I want to play to this, because that's I want to sum this real quick, what he said. Yeah, he says, if we get rid of GMO crops, the cost of food will decrease and the cost of land will decrease. Like he said this. So this is my response. And it immediately popped in my head. It's from a classic movie, but this is exactly what I want to say to Bryce.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
It was about at that point where, because you had contacted me and said, hey, you got to listen to this podcast that he did.
Yeah.
And it was at that point, about there, I was just like, I'm done. Like, I can't. And again, when you then, and I even told you, I was like, I don't think any of this deserves a response because it's that dumb. Like us even talking about it. And again, when you realize, okay, this guy's a flat earther, he believes gravity's a hoax.
Legit, he is a flat earther.
Like, it puts it all in perspective. And I still am not 100% convinced this isn't all just
a character that he's playing.
Yeah, a character he's playing. And look, I mean, I have a lot of respect for what they do. I mean, they put their bodies, their lives, probably their minds on the line, apparently, to get in the ring, get in the octagon, and fight.
I think he's proof of that.
But they have a short career. I think a lot of these guys, they're smart. They're really good self-marketers. They develop big social media followings, big sponsorships. They try to, just self-preservation.
Well, I mean, that's why Conor McGregor did so well, because he was a character. He was larger than life.
Well, and I don't know his specifics, but I would say he's definitely set himself up well for post-fight, earnings.
Oh, yeah.
Doing other things. He has,
he did the whiskey or Irish whiskey, whatever.
But part of me is like, this is just a stick, because he does a lot of things, and I hate to even go there, but like the scene with the Bible and all the praying, part of me is like, man, that's great. He's highlighting his Christian faith. I don't know if was the fight on ESPN or was it on pay-per-view?
Probably ESPN, but I'm not positive.
ESPN is extremely liberal.
It would have been a pay-per-view fight.
Well, now ESPN does have some.
But see, I last UFC fight I bought, you had to have the ESPN app and watch it on there.
It depends. Some of them you do. Some of the lower level fights, you have to have like the ESPN. But anyway, so part of me is like, well, heck yeah, if he was rubbing ESPN's face in that, I'm all for it. But he's been real outspoken, like in favor of Trump, like saying crazy stuff. Same scenario at the end of a fight. He grabs the mic and is like, listen here, Donald Trump, you need me to come to DC and whip some ass for you. I'm right here, brother. Call me. Stuff like that. It's like, and I'm like, oh, hell yeah.
That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of stuff I like about the guy.
But to me, it's almost like he's just looking to say something really shocking to get a response.
Yeah.
And hey, what are we doing? We're sitting here responding. But where I feel like we have a responsibility, he does have a pretty big platform. He's got, 500,000?
Yeah, something 400,000, 500,000
social media followers and whatnot. So, part of me, maybe it's a little bit of hyperbole, but, some of what he's saying is dangerous.
That's what I was gonna say.
Pasteurized milk should be illegal. Like, stuff like that. I'm like, man.
Look, hey.
Come on. And he's got a platform. He could have done so much good.
Yeah.
Or could do so much good. And it feels, and we've said this before, it feels like friendly fire. Like,
that's what I was about to say.
He's kind of on our team, but then he's not.
Yeah. That's what got me, because, I was the same. I followed him. I mean, good buddy of mine has trained with him, sparred with him, and so I was like, man, that's really cool. And then he says this dumb stuff, and I'm like, man, it just, and attacks us, and that's what I was like. Like I said, you feel a little betrayed, but I don't know.
Somebody that, is within our industry, at least to some extent, but is like, man, dude, there are so many issues in ag that you could help shine a light on. Now, none of them make near as good of a sound clip as you ranting about.
That's what he's not saying anything different than the jabronis in California are saying. That's what I'm like. I'm like, dude, you are a Trump guy, conservative, Bible believe this and that, and then you're spouting off the same bull crap that all the people out there. And I think he also mentioned Monsanto. They always got to mention Monsanto.
Pile on Roundup Monsanto. Which we're the furthest thing from Monsanto apologist.
Yeah. But it's like
Bayer or whoever.
It trips me out. That's what I'm like. But one, I'm like, get it right if you're going to attack it. First, it's not Monsanto. They got bought out by Bayer. And people are like, who cares? I'm like, well, I do. If you're going to try to use that as your weapon, then just get it right.
Well,
but look, dude, I don't get up. this ain't Roundup in my glass. Like, I ain't drinking Roundup. And if they figured out if there was an effective, plausible way to manage the weeds without using Roundup or chemical, dude, that'd be great. Like, I would love that.
Well, and anytime somebody's attacking modern ag and they just immediately go after Roundup or you start debating with them and then they go to Roundup, it's almost like when people pull the race card.
Yeah.
You're racist. Like, that's when they know they've lost the argument.
I was going to say,
they don't have anything else they can come with. And so, what about Roundup? Because at this point, I mean, that like you always say, that's the boogeyman.
Yeah.
That's the buzzword. You can't even try to debate about Roundup. But, you know, because people won't even listen to anything intelligent around it or about it.
Oh, it doesn't matter. And that's one thing I said to somebody on Instagram. Because somebody commented, they were like, why is this GD stuff still on the shelf or something? And I said, well, because it's effective. And I said, yes, there are studies that say it could potentially link to cancer. There's studies, and that's what they say. They say it potentially has cancer's link, like a link to cancer. But on the same note, there's also quite a bit of studies that say that it's safe and doesn't. So that's where I'm like, it's still on the shelves because it works, and it whether you like to hear it or not, it actually is still debatable whether or not it causes cancer. The thing I want to point out too, the two ways that the link said it was potential was either with like an extreme amount, like you had to have like heavy exposure, or you had to have like a low exposure over like a freaking very, very long time. And I mean, I don't think, because it's parts per billion is how they measure like what's an allowable amount. And people freak out about it. It's like, dude, it's no telling what preservatives and what other things are actually allowed in amounts. Like, that's what I'm thinking. And I put in there, I said, okay, we're drinking whiskey. I could Google.
Hey, real quick, by the way, what you drinking tonight?
That's right. I'm actually drinking Blanton's again tonight.
Man, you've gone all in on Blanton's the last, 3 or 4 weeks?
I haven't been, I've drastically reduced my alcohol intake, so I ain't been to the liquor store in, I bet, 2 months.
I haven't been in a while, which I'm more of a beer guy, which I've cut way back even on the beer on other nights.
What you got now?
But the only night I drink whiskey, especially this time of year when it's still so warm, which damn, it is hot. But anyway, that's another subject. Woodford Reserve.
Okay, good. Double oaked or just the regular?
Just the regular. I went back to one of the Old Faithful. Somebody gave me a bottle for my birthday, and I opened her up tonight.
Oh, that's good stuff. Well, that's what I told them. I said, okay, I can Google. There's claims that whiskey increases your chances of getting cancer. And I told them
the sun causes cancer.
The sun, eating bacon. I love eating bacon. Bacon is linked to cancer. And that's what I told him.
Moderation. Like, I mean, of course, we always use that term like with alcohol, but like how many things yet done to excess?
I want to know how many people also blast it and then they might smoke cigarettes.
Oh, yeah. Or, or they're, we talked about the PFAS. And kind of the same thing with those. It was like, well, they really don't know about all the health, and like literally everything, anything waterproof or water resistant you put on has those, like, I mean, it's just right. Exactly. And
how many of them are eating a diet that's like, here's what I always think about. I'm like, okay, the people that are saying the Roundup causes cancer, do they eat fast food? Do they eat processed foods?
Well, do they drink Diet Cokes? Which you always hear about the artificial sweeteners in there and like, whatever. Like, I mean,
is their diet perfect? Because I feel like if you ate fresh produce, fresh from the farm stuff that had been sprayed and stuff, I'm going to be honest, I still feel like you're probably going to be a lot healthier than if you go to Taco Bell every day for lunch.
I planted some fall vegetables in my garden. I actually think we just did broccoli and Brussels sprouts. Should have grabbed some cauliflower, but I didn't.
Yeah.
And like, it's like my little mini farm, as far as my cropping. And I'm like no-tilling it. Like, I just burn it. I went in there because it was where I had all my summer vegetables, but they kind of played out and let the bugs get to the squash and everything. So kind of cleared all that out, or just mowed it, and then of course, got a lot of grass coming up. I just burn it down real good with Roundup.
Would you Roundup and Fire Zone?
Roundup and Fire Zone, yeah. And then I planted into it.
Yeah.
Of course, you can't spray Roundup over the top of those crops. I have zero concern. Like I spray Roundup. I run a weed eater in some places, like around like my back porch stuff, not, but like around my flower beds in the front yard. I have a 2-gallon hand pump jug that sits right there at our back door.
Ready to go.
That I probably every other week I'm spot spraying around my flower beds because I'd rather do that than weed.
Yeah. Man, that's how
my kids, my dogs, it's
Yeah.
just not even a concern of mine.
No.
It's so far down the list of things that I worry about, like with my children, that it's not even funny.
Yeah. Well, that's how I am, man. And I do think that a lot of it and we've mentioned this on the show before, a lot of it shows how privileged we are in this country that somebody can be like, how did you grow that food?
Yeah.
I don't know about that food. How'd you grow that food?
Yeah.
And it's like, bro, it's just fresh food. How did you grow that?
Well, and it's like I made kind of the comment before where, who's not worried about, dying of cancer from Roundup? People dying of starvation.
Yeah. Yeah. The ones in the desert that won't live where the food is. They're.
Yeah. When we send, humanitarian aid to Somalia or wherever, and they're dropping, bags of flour and rice and whatever, you don't have the one guy in the back saying, excuse me, is this non-GMO flour?
Yeah. No, that's it. Again, it just shows the privilege.
Yeah.
Now, to shift gears, well, I guess we say all this to say, and that's why do we address a guy like Bryce? Because he's a flat earther, if he really is. He says some really stupid stuff.
I'm convinced it's one of two things. Either it is a total act, and he doesn't really believe any of this stuff, and he's just trying to get clicks and interactions, and again, we're giving that to him, or he really needs to seriously see
about some CTE because he's taking some brain damage.
Because, he's far more educated than the character he plays.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's why we want to talk, or why we discuss that, is because, unfortunately, even though some of the stuff is so ridiculous, he's got a following, and we saw it actually. We made that post, and one of the comments on there, a guy was like, well, if I got to choose between siding with Bryce or siding with Monsanto, then I'm siding with Bryce.
And that on its surface, I'm like, okay, but on what? Like, we're not asking you. You don't have to side with either of them.
Yeah.
And we're not sitting here just trying to, like, oh, Monsanto is God. We worship Monsanto. Like, no.
Look, if somebody wants to tell me that Roundup needs to be outlawed, then that's fine. But I want you to tell me what the solution is instead. Like, that's what I always say.
I think they should say, hey, I prefer to make my food choices something that it's organic or non-GMO, where it's like, okay.
Hey,
you make that decision for you.
We live in a fairly free country.
Yeah,
do that.
Relatively free.
Yeah, that's what I say, fairly. It's kind of free. So
not completely free.
You can't drink the milk straight from the teat because raw milk is illegal. Can you drink straight from the teat if it's your own?
I don't even think raw milk is illegal. Like, I think if you have a milk cow out here and you milk it and you want to drink it yourself, I don't think.
So it's for sale. You can't sell it.
You can't sell it or barter with it or anything like that legally. It was just like, I made this point much. If you had texted me tonight and said, hey man, we're out of beef. I'm out of deer meat. Ain't got no meat. Bring me some ground beef. I want to buy some from you. I legally can't do that because my ground beef is not USDA inspected. We go through a custom harvester or custom processor. I guess apparently maybe even if it was USDA inspected, like you were telling me, it has to be like transported. Like
you would have to show up in a refrigerated truck to my house.
Which is dumb, so dumb. And of course, like you're not going to starve to death in that situation because you can go to town and buy ground beef, probably cheaper than mine is too. But let's say we get in a situation like with COVID where there was no ground beef available. Thankfully it was just a short period of time. Like my neighbors, like if they had called me and been like, hey man, we got a bunch of vegetables in the garden. We'll trade you these vegetables for, some ground beef. I mean, I would have done it in a heartbeat because
Yeah.
I don't give a rat's ass.
Yeah.
But yeah, technically that would have been
Illegal.
in compliance,
You damn
out of compliance with USDA laws.
cheating the government out of their taxes, man.
Well, oh yeah, they would have definitely been pissed about that. You know, did we pay taxes on those transactions?
That's
But,
why. That's why. I guarantee you that's why.
But oh no, I agree with a lot of that.
Yeah, I think that's why.
But-
But we address Bryce because he has a following, and that's kind of what we do on this show. I mean, literally, in our state, like mission statement or log line, it says this, talking about the myths and realities of farming. So that's what we're doing. We're addressing that because the dude is wrong. And there's there was another thing. Man, I had made a note.
Well, and again, what sucks is that, man, he is on like some of the major issues that are divisive in this country right now. You know, Christianity.
Yeah.
He's right there on the same side with us. Anti-government or I don't know. I guess I probably do. I'm definitely in favor of a smaller government. I guess you could probably say.
Yeah, you're anti-government.
Most days I'm pretty anti-government. Yeah, like those issues. I mean, like we would agree philosophically on probably far more than we would disagree on.
Yeah.
It is kind of one of those deals where I'm still kind of convinced. Like if you gave him truth serum or got him completely away
He
from
would
the
admit
microphone,
it's a hoax.
he'd be like, "Oh yeah, I do try to stay away from those chemicals, but like I really embellished all that, you know, just for the microphone."
I hope so. Well, to shift gears there, guys, we appreciate y'all hearing us out on that. I got to tell you, so it's harvest season. One of the things that I do during harvest season, a lot of times, is I will chew a little tobacco on the combine.
It causes cancer.
It does. That's just thinking. Yeah, it causes cancer. Y'all can see how worried I am. I mean, man, everything does these days. But, man, that stuff is so expensive. We've talked about how expensive it is. Well, we went to the store the other day because I typically buy, which I didn't know this. I was looking for Red Man the other day. You know that doesn't exist anymore? It's not Red Man anymore.
Because of the woke.
It was
culture.
racist. It's called America's Best. The packaging, I wish.
Yeah, everything looks exactly the same except,
Yeah.
they're just.
And our hat, I usually have our hat on the table here. We got a legit old Red Man hat.
Sitting right over there behind the camera.
And it means so much more to me now after I found out.
Oh, yeah.
That it's.
You really can't. Don't wear that one and sweat in it or anything.
Yeah, I know.
Levi Garrett was probably more my go-to.
That's what I get now. When I go, like I did get America's Best one time, but
do you know all the sports teams? You know, the Washington Redskins aren't. Which
they're
most
the
people-
Nationals, aren't they now?
No, that's the Washington baseball team. They're just the Washington football team.
The Washington football
they
team.
can't come up with a mascot. But most people, like, of course, the PC people, like on ESPN or whatever, most people still refer to them as the Redskins.
Yeah.
The Cleveland Indians are now like the Guardians or something.
Man, so basically all we're doing is just eradicating all the memory of the Indians.
Well, and then, of course, people joke, like the joke with the Land of Lakes. It used to have the Native American woman.
Yeah.
I think they've taken her off the package. It's like, that's typical white man.
Removing the Indian from her land.
Gets rid of the Indian, keeps the land.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, you talk to most natives, and they're like, no, we're cool with that. Like,
Yeah.
The Atlanta Braves have held strong. I'm trying to think. Well, Arkansas State University, just across the river from us, and a really conservative. They used to be the Indians. Now they're the Red Wolves.
I did not know that.
And that one's been, which of course that's not a.
Well, didn't our old school change? They're not the Rebels anymore, are they?
No, they're the Rebels.
Do they still have the mascot?
I mean, they don't have like Colonel Reb on the sidelines, but I don't know that they ever did.
I thought for some reason they did. I know, didn't Ole Miss, did they change?
Ole Miss is still the Rebels, but they don't have Colonel Reb. Because used to they had a guy dressed up like Colonel Reb. Which,
he's a Confederate son of a gun.
Which, I mean, he was an old, crusty-looking, white-haired white dude. Like,
yeah.
Now, of course, people make fun of them. They have like I think it's a black bear.
It is a black bear. And then they're also...
like, you're still the Rebels, but your mascot is a black bear.
And they also do the fins up, and it's like, what do you...
That goes back, yeah. It's all
weird.
dumb.
But
they're kind of a Mickey Mouse SEC school. And
They are.
do some Mickey Mouse stuff.
Well, long story short, that's to tell you about. So I wanted to experiment. The other day, I was going to get a bag of chew. And have you ever had Bowie or Bowie? It's like a Bowie knife. It's got a Bowie knife on it, and it's spelled Bowie.
No.
Well, it was $1.99.
You know, it wasn't that brand, but the last time I went to buy some, like Red Man or America's Best or whatever in Levi Garrett. No, it's Red Man. We're gonna call it Red Man.
Mm-hmm.
It's like $10 a pack, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's how Levi Garrett is.
I bought something. I can't remember what brand it was, but it was a total. And it was the same way. It was $1.99. I was like, I'll take it.
Did you like it?
I could. It was not as good, but it was good enough for what I was.
I can't do the Bowie. And I was kind of like, I was rooting for it because it's got a knife on it. Like, I was like, this is pretty cool looking. And I opened it up, and, honestly, the best way I describe it, chew kind of smells like raisins to me. It's got kind of a raisiny scent. It even kind of has a little bit of a raisin taste. This it didn't even smell like chewing tobacco. Like, I opened it up, I was like, man, I like immediately was like, yeah, I don't know. And I put a chew in, and like, I don't think I had it in for maybe a minute to 2 minutes, and I was like, no, I got rid of it. And Derek's been helping me. He's been chewing now. So like farming, we're just a bad influence because he's chewing now. And I said, hey man, because he got up on the combine because we were like kind of loaded up. I was finishing out Hopper, and he goes, well, I'll ride with you. So he hopped on the combine, and I said, hey, man, here. I said, you can have this, this chew. I had a little bit left of some Red Man that I had bought previously, and I said, you can have this. And he was like, you don't want it? And I was like, it tastes like shit. And he's like, oh, thanks. Well, here, it tastes terrible. You can have it.
Well, you weren't forced him to take it.
I know. Well, he was like, I don't want it. And so he didn't get it. It was still in my combine. So then this morning I got it out, and I was like, dude, take this chew. Just try it. I was like, you may like it. I just don't like the flavor. And he was like, I'll try it. Well, then he left it in my truck again. So I finally I threw it away this afternoon. It was not good, man. Like, not good at all. So I don't recommend the Bowie chew for any of you. Hey, and I got two things I got to add. First, are you growing the skullet? What is the deal?
Well, I mean, look, for those of you watching on YouTube, I mean, my wife trimmed like around my ears.
Yeah.
Just because I was like, yeah, I'm going to be too embarrassed to like go into a barber shop and be like, look, don't touch anything on top, which, yeah, there's not much there or the back.
So are you doing it? Because I haven't gotten a haircut in quite a while.
I mean, I last shaved my head. It was before we went to the beach for my daughter's softball tournament. It was like the end of June.
All right. So we got, the people want to know, are we committing to this?
Man, like I'm still going.
All right. Well, then I'm going to keep going too. Cause I
don't know fully what it'll look like. Like, and I do, like, I'm a little bit self-conscious, like when it comes to just my professional, like, cause I have a lot of clients that know me really well that would think it was funny. But I mean, on pretty much a daily basis, I see clients, I have new clients that I've never seen or met before. And like, yeah, it might not.
They might not.
We're a pretty reputable practice and whatnot. And then, we are in a situation right now where we are so busy. Like we're not looking for more business than what we currently,
See, there you go.
It's like
you can trim the fat a little bit.
If I kind of scared some people off by like, oh gosh, this guy does not look very professional, to an extent, I'd be like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, oh man, like, I'm 40 now. Like, part of me is like, I need to be a little bit grown up and polished. But
man, the older you get, the less you care about stuff.
Yeah. You're right. But I don't know. Yeah, there's some settings where I'm like, yeah, I totally want to be just the rebellious like guy. Then others I'm like, okay, yeah, this is a time where, being a little more polished and formal would maybe serve me well. But I'm still in it right now. All
right. Well, like I said, I'm gonna keep going. My daughter, she practices putting a ponytail in my hair sometimes. Like, we're getting there.
Oh, I get so many comments. People are like, "Whoa, you got hair!" Like, well, yeah, just not on top.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I mean, if you do the
And
skull
like,
it and
of course,
keep it
my
going.
son was amazed. I mean, he's 5. You know, he just never seen me with any hair. Like, I think he truly thought that, like,
You just didn't have hair.
I did not have any hair. Yeah, I ran into somebody the other day, and of course, when I'm wearing a hat, you know, I don't look that different than I did 20 years ago. You know,
Yeah.
You know, you can just see in the back, and we're like, oh man, yeah. And he's like, "You've got hair?" I was like, "Well, yeah, same thing. Like, just take my hat off, and yeah, you can tell."
You're like, I don't have alopecia or whatever. You know, you got some
I'm
hair.
not, in that situation, but
You're not G.I. Jane. Yeah, that's what made Will Smith so angry.
oh yeah. That whole deal. It's like, come on, man. Like, it's not like, to me, you're allowed to make fun of diseases like that to an extent. I mean, it's not like you're joking about her having cancer. Or,
Yeah.
you know, any sort of an illness that's going to
Terminal.
that doesn't even have an effect on quality of life, other than, I guess.
And she can wear a wig.
Yeah, I guess as a woman, like, hair is more important to you than as a man, but still, yeah. That's
Well,
where I thought he was a little bit out of line.
I agree. Well, I do got to tell everybody about the giveaway. So we had said last episode that the giveaway was going to start like right then. And I figured out that I didn't really know as much as I thought about how to do this. And so I've had my marketing team meeting today, and I found out that it's actually a lot simpler than I thought it was. So I'm actually I was dumber than I expected. Because he was like, don't you see, like, literally we're on the phone together.
You're still smarter than Bryce Mitchell.
That's right. I'm not a flat earther. Gravity is real. GMO crops makes things more affordable. So, but he was like, don't you see? Because I told him, I said, dude, I cannot figure out how to create a giveaway. And he goes, did you not have a big green button that says new giveaway? And I was like, what? And he was like, it's a big green button right there on the page, new giveaway. And I was like, oh, it is. I mean, and so I clicked it. And
If
so
it's a snake, it'll bit you.
it would have. So here's what we're going to do. It's going to start October 1st. It's going to run the entire month of October. We're going to give you a full month to enter the giveaway.
Well, you just go to the website.
It's going to be on the website. I'm embedding it on the home page. So when you go on there,
Enter giveaway. All you need is an email address.
email address, and now there is going to be bonus entries because this thing's pretty cool. Like, it actually, there's ways you can gain bonus entries. And I haven't even set up all the different ways yet, but it'll explain all this on the entry. But like subscribing to our YouTube channel gives you a bonus entry.
There we go.
Like subscribing and following our podcast will give you a bonus entry. So just read the instructions. It's going to be on there. And if you already follow it and you're like, what the crap? I'm pretty sure that you can click that and like, you'll click the little link. It should read that you've already followed it, and you'll still get the bonus entry.
Generate you another entry.
Yeah. If not, unfollow it and then click the button, follow it, and then you got the entry. So don't be over here freaking out because you've already followed. You've already been a loyal supporter. We're not like Cargill on their reach in thing, and we're not going to reward the people that have already been with us. We will reward you. You just be intelligent with what you got to do. So that will be up October 1st, and it's going to run all the way through October 31st. And enter as much as you can, and I'm looking forward to it. Again, the giveaway, for anybody that maybe hasn't heard, we're going to pay the travel fees for you to come and join us in studio. We got hats, we got koozies, we got stickers. I don't even know that we showed our koozies.
Yeah.
But we got stickers, and we're going to put together a swag pack. We got some buddies in different industries and stuff. We're going to put together a swag pack for you guys. So
it'd be a little prize pack with kind of the grand part of it being
cocaine.
You get to hang out with us.
Yes.
You might have to bring your own cocaine.
Yeah, you probably. BYOC. BYOC.
Yeah. Hey, but I guess that's ag. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know that it's really grown in this country.
No. Heroin, I think. Don't they make heroin out of poppy seed?
Yeah.
You can grow poppy seed here.
I mean, apparently they grew it in Missouri and Ozark.
I never watched that. You quit watching that. All right, you got the company tonight?
I can. Yes. Because
I think I did. Did I do Chad's last week? Or maybe the week before?
Man,
I can't remember.
We were messed up on our previous recording because of my traveling, and so Yeah, I can't even keep it straight. But I mean, good grief.
Yeah, you got to get him up, man. Here.
How do I need to like save him in my home screen or
I
something?
don't know. And we
start off with 2 words: made in America.
Yeah, a product that I have used for a while.
is the Dingleberry clipper.
Is that like a Saturday Night Live spoof or something?
No, but it ought to be Dingleberry clipper. It just came to me.
No, you know, I've talked about, I'm a big fan of Anderson Bean boots, but they're probably still my go-to. Justin Boot Company,
Oh, yeah.
specifically their bent rail collection or line or whatever the
Bent
terminology.
rail?
Bent rail, BENTRAIL. I have a pair of those. They are made in USA. I think all the boots under that specific product line are made in USA. Excuse me. But yeah, good product. I wore them pretty much all day yesterday while I was on tractor cutting a little hay.
Bent rail. I've never heard of that. So that's just their style. Okay.
Yeah. All got the made in USA flag there on them. Yeah. And they're not a super expensive boot, which Justin's a good boot company, but even their kind of traditional lines that are made wherever, you know, a little more of an economy brand. But
I see the made in USA. They got quite a bit of made in USA
yeah.
boots. All right, this is what I was looking, because I used to wear, for a while, I actually used to wear the lace-ups, Justin's. And it might be these right here, these conductor 8-inch lace-up. I liked the lace-ups, and
Well, the lace-ups
they're
are
made in
nice,
USA.
like especially if you need more, you know, ankle support and whatnot, than just what you get from a traditional slip-on or pull-on cowboy boot. But actually, I've had this pair for a while. I've had them kind of on my list to highlight at some point.
if these weren't square toe, I could actually kind of dig that.
Square toe is my go-to.
I'm a round toe guy. I like the round toe or the snip toe.
Yeah.
But I had wondered about the lace-ups. Man, I used to work in those a bunch. Because I will say the one thing about, like out here in the rocks, because I wear them Tacovas, and it's got the western heel. And man, every now and then I'll step on a big rock and it'll like roll my ankle over. Like, do you ever have that happen?
Well, mine aren't you know,
Tall.
the type of boots. Yeah,
They got a roper heel
my
or whatever.
Anderson Beans. Yeah, and those bent rails I've got are. I'm trying to think. I guess I have. I'm kind of a cowboy boot. I don't know, aficionado.
Oh yeah, I've got a problem with those.
I do have a pair of Lucchese's, which they're probably made in Mexico. I'm not sure. Other than that, I have several pairs of Anderson Bean and that pair of bent rail Justins.
Did you ever get a pair of Tacovas?
No, just because I don't know. They every time I've needed to buy a pair, I've gone for one of the made in USA brands.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Those Justins were the most recent pair I bought.
Yeah,
and I bought them because they are just a little cheaper to be like my wear around the farm boot. I've got a couple of those Lucchese's and at least one pair of Anderson Beans that I don't like. I might wear them like if we're going to a horse show or something, but I'm not going to wear them out just like working cows or anything where they're going to potentially get real nasty.
Yeah, I would definitely wear Lucchese's to work cattle.
I got a pair that they're pretty much out to dinner, maybe to
Are
church.
they the Barons? I think it's the Baron that was like $12,000. They got their black Baron alligator.
These are ostrich.
I think it's made out of the testicle skin of an alligator.
Yeah.
Smooth.
I ate some testicles. I've actually had
You did
oysters
that.
twice.
You've been watching Liver King too much.
No, mine were fried. I ate some when we were in Wyoming.
They had them in
if I go to a
Wyoming?
restaurant that has them as an appetizer, I'm going to order them.
They call them Blue Mountain oysters?
They just called, I think it just said mountain oysters on that menu. They were good. If you ever eat at the Stockyards in Oklahoma City, it's a good appetizer there.
Dip them in ketchup?
I go cocktail sauce. I mean, just like a lot of people are like, I mean, just like an oyster. I mean,
Yeah.
And they're a little bit of that kind of consistency. I mean, there's almost, I mean, they didn't just start calling them mountain oysters because they're like, well, it's just something random we can call them. Like, no, they're kind of that consistency. Yeah.
I've never tried one. Heard they were very rich.
You know, Maybe a little. Like, it is one of those things where I'm not going to just sit there and get full on them.
Yeah.
Like an appetizer. An appetizer is totally the right way. I've actually got a sack full in my refrigerator because my kids nibbled on a couple, but I knew, and my wife, she would eat like one. But I don't know, and I didn't even save all of them that I cut that day just because I got to a point where I was like, okay, there's no way we're eating all these.
Man,
but I've got a bunch. I actually saw them in the fridge tonight. I'm like, yeah, I probably need to throw the rest of those out.
I had to resist hard there. I'm just trying. So many things are running through my head to say.
Yeah.
So many opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, you go to agzaga.com.
Keep it PG-13.
Yeah. Go to agzaga.com and get you something you need. Like I said, I still got my auto shut-off fuel nozzle I haven't put on yet that I got from there. Pretty sure it might even be made in the USA.
We need to look because that'll be a product we can highlight one night.
We do.
Yeah, it's like I say, the more I think about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I ordered that from them and that from them. But
yeah,
I'll be using some of their bail net wrap this weekend.
And their dingleberry clipper, he'll be using that this weekend.
You know, we should message them about
a dingleberry clipper.
Yeah.
It would help out, man. Hey,
yeah, you talk about that a lot. Like, is that a problem you run into?
Man, I'm a hairy guy, you know.
I guess there's some advantages to not being a Sasquatch.
You know, I will say the only product like that I've ever tried, it wasn't a butt clipper, but I was listening to Meat Eater podcast years ago. Before I get into this story, use the code TALKDIRT, all caps, on agzaga.com. Save yourself 10%. So I was listening to Meat Eater. I'm a big Steve Ranella fan, and they were sponsored by Backblade. Have you ever heard of them?
No, but I mean, I'm sure I know what it is.
It's so. Hey, I'm gonna be honest. My wife likes my chest hair. She's a fan. She is a fan of the chest hair. She likes the beard. She just likes that, I guess, kind of that rugged man. And I'm like, hey, this is good. This works good for me. And I'm all right with it, but I'm not a fan of the back hair. And the back hair it's like, it's not near what my chest hair is, but it's getting worse and worse. And so I was listening to Meat Eater, and they were like, hey, you can order, I was being a good podcast listener. They said, you can order this Backblade for so-and-so, get 20% off, use the code Meat Eater, whatever. So I was like, I'm going to try it out, because they were like, man, it works. Like, they had a dude talking about using it, and he was like, man, it works. So I ordered it, and it's this long-handled thing. It might be made in the USA. I need to look, but it's got a blade on it. Like, it's a huge razor, but it's made with, like, this thing on there so you don't, like, cut yourself.
Yeah.
But you literally... You take it, and it's for you to shave your
like a
back.
Scratcher, but it's got a blade on it.
Yes. And so I was like, I'll try it out. So I did. I shaved my back. It was cool for like a day. I was like, man, my back is nice. And then I got razor burn on my back. And then
from the first time you used it?
Yes. And then my back was like, the hair, as it started to grow back out, it was like extremely uncomfortable. Well, I had some razor burn. And so, like, I wasn't reshaving my back. I've literally used it that one time. And I was like, it was so uncomfortable afterwards. I was like, yeah, no. But it did work. It did what they said it would do. It shaved the hair. It didn't cut me. But, yeah.
The back hair is just not an issue for me. It does remind me when I was in school, of course, we were real busy. And my roommate, he went bald even younger than I did, and so he just shaved his head all the time.
Yeah.
So one of our other buddies was like, hey man, just shave my head, and whatever. Like we just go out there on the back deck. He'd like put the guard on there or whatever. Wouldn't like just totally scalp him.
Yeah.
And but it was funny. It was a hairy dude. It's like I don't know where I stopped shaving.
Oh, his neck hair grown up quite.
Because it was like his hair like growing on his back, like up his neck. Like I'm not sure where it goes from being hair on your head to like just hair on your
so
back and your neck.
He had not had a haircut in quite some time.
Well, this is like, so it's just always funny. You just like shave out a spot where like you wouldn't like totally shave his back. That does, you do need to say like no homo.
No homo there, yeah.
But just where the hair was down below like his collar line for his shirt.
Dang, well, that makes me feel good about myself.
Yeah.
Because I'm not, my back hair, it hasn't gotten that bad yet, but it's moving there.
Mine's just my nose hairs. And I'm like, those
I got to trim those a lot. Yeah. We got a good friend, mutual friend that's actually a hairdresser, and I've told her that she's going to wax my back. Now it sounds bad. Like it sounds like it's going to, I've seen 40-year-old virgin when he gets his chest waxed. So
I would think your back's not near as sensitive.
That's what I'm thinking. Like
and with the alternative being the razor burn, I think that might be the way to go.
I think so.
I say this to somebody who's never had anything waxed ever.
Well, they had that weird stuff called Nair that you could like rub. It's like a lotion you put on and like melted the hair off.
Yep, that sounds like
I think it has Roundup in it.
Yes, so that sounds like some nasty chemicals you got there.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Hey, leave us a rating and a review. We hadn't been hounding you about it, but I'm telling you right now, leave us a rating and a review.
Yeah, hey, did we officially hit 200?
Not on just like on one in particular, no. And actually, I'm glad you said that. I need to read some. We had some awesome reviews. We are at like 100. I'm spitting like 160 reviews on Apple Podcast. But here's my thing.
Well, and I just want to give our listeners some props, because as we sit here and record, it's September 28th. We said by the end of September.
And we originally said 100. We wanted to get to 100.
Right, we wanted to get to 100 before our 100th episode. And of course, it worked out where our 100th episode was. Now this is 101, but we'll be right at the end of September, essentially.
Yeah.
So shout out to you guys. But for those of you who haven't, take 30 seconds to do it. Please, please. It helps us.
Yeah.
The podcast is growing every month.
Yeah.
But that's one of the driving factors.
It is. And that's what I want to give a few shout outs here to some of our people leaving us reviews. Dylan from Alabama, a Crimson man. He said, love the show, guys.
He's probably an Auburn guy. We'll give him at least benefit of the doubt.
There you go. He said, I started late, so I'm listening to every episode catching up. As a first-generation cattle rancher, I've learned a lot. And the humor/conspiracies just add to the enjoyment. Keep it up. Thanks, Dylan. Next one here. OK Fences, OK Neighbor. I like the name. He said, food for thought.
Yeah. If you got OK Fences, you're not going to have to bleach your cow's hair.
That's right. You won't put bleached penises on them. Food for thought. Although I'm farming and running cows in a much different region, I wonder if he's wonder if he's dropping a hint that it's like Oklahoma.
When you first said okay, I was like, maybe he's Oklahoma, but I don't know.
Yeah. He said, although I'm farming and running cows in a much different region, you guys bring up a lot of points to think about and see if there's a way to improve the way I'm doing things. Keep it up. And then the last one I'll give a shout out. G-Power92 says, awesome podcast. Just found this podcast about 2 months ago after seeing one of the shorts. Started at the first one and now about 3 from being fully caught up. Man, in 2 months, that's pretty darn good.
See, that's the kind of listeners we like.
Yep, dedicated, man. And he said, definitely recommend to anyone, especially people who think agriculture is bad, because it would shut them up and keep them in their lane. Keep up the awesome work, guys. You're damn right, man. Like that's a good review right there. That's what you like to read. Guys, thanks, man. I mean, we enjoy it. And hey, look, you leave us a rating and write us a cool review. You might even get to hear it read on the show. Give you a shout out. But what I say, because Spotify like rose from the ashes. Spotify is up to 137 ratings and reviews.
We have a lot of non-Apple people out there.
That's my people there, as I'm on my Android.
Spotify, where you listen to most of your stuff?
Google Podcast was, and I got an email saying that it's going away. So I guess I'm going to have to start listening on probably Spotify. But 137, so it's quickly approaching to overtake Apple Podcasts. Spotify, folks, y'all need to pat yourselves on the back. Only bad thing is I can't read like ratings. Like I think it's just stars. So like I can't give you guys a shout out.
So they can leave us a rating, but not a review there.
Yep.
Well.
So
okay.
Do that for us, guys. And submit your questions to us. We got a couple questions. I saw I had one today. We will do another. We always enjoy a Q&A. So shoot your messages to us on talkdirtpodcast.com on the contact page. Please do it there and reach out to us on Instagram. But I'm just going to tell you, I mean, we've been in harvest So like I haven't been super active on Instagram. You got a lot going on. So I mean,
yeah, it's a busy time of year for both of us. We're trying to get done with hay. Obviously, we didn't even get really talk much of harvest this week because thank you, Bryce. We had to address that whole issue.
Next week we'll really go into it. But yeah, shoot us an email. That's the best place to talk to us, and it's easy to keep up with. Now, and again, I do appreciate everybody that reaches out on Instagram. Just know that it might be a couple days before we get back to you. So that's all I got.
Yeah, I guess we'll be right here again next week.
Yep.
Y'all check back with us.
Take it easy.